the composition of DNA and RNA is referred to as nucleic acid, basically. Okay, or you can, just like when we said carbohydrate, carbohydrate is a general name, right? And that means we could include all kind of sugars there, right? Sugar means monosaccharide, polysaccharide, oligosaccharide, all of them. So carbohydrate is a general name. Similarly, nucleic acid is a general name to refer to the class of compounds in the living organism which are called as DNA and RNA. Based on their composition, you will see how this actually connects there. Okay, so what is DNA and what is RNA? I don't want to go into the detail of that, but all of you know, at least DNA all of you know, and even RNA, that DNA is the molecule which carries the information about life. Okay, it is the DNA inside the cell's nucleus that actually carries the information how to code a certain type of proteins, because ultimately in your whole living organism, the biggest role you can say are played chemically by proteins. They are responsible for various metabolic processes, the structural processes, okay, the structural formation, many things, assembling, everything. So that information remains, and also of course the further modifications happen, but primary information is in the DNA. So that is the role of DNA, and that carries the genetic information which is passed over from one generation to another generation. Okay, that's how the living organism survive from one generation to another organism, another generation. RNA is something which is also nucleic acid, but it is involved mostly in the process of information transfer and coding of the protein. This is like, you can treat as if, like, it works like a postman, think about that, and also local labor, okay, to create the proteins or synthesis of the protein. And there are further types also of RNA. There is something called as messenger RNA, mRNA. There is something called as transfer RNA, tRNA, and there is something called as what is that called, ribosomal RNA. rRNA is a part of machinery which is called ribosome, and that is involved in protein synthesis. mRNA carries the information. Basically in the cell you have a cell nucleus, right, and DNA is inside. You have DNA in the form of all those chromosomes in the higher structures. So there are structure of DNA also, we will just quickly discuss that also as a part of syllabus. So inside the nucleus you have DNA. That DNA actually sends the information to code the protein, to synthesize the protein, and that happens in the cytoplasm here. So here you have the machinery which is called ribosomes, which are also proteins actually. Okay, ribosomes, they are also protein, but in the process of protein synthesis multiple steps are involved. First of all, the information from DNA actually is transferred in the form of small molecule like mRNA, which are coded by DNA, and they are sent out of this cell nucleus to cytoplasm. So there is mRNA which is coming out of nucleus to the cytoplasm. mRNA has a role of, let's say, carrying the information from nucleus to cytoplasm, and then in the cytoplasm, near the machinery of ribosome, both the tRNA and rRNA is actually part of ribosome, but this tRNA together play a role in order to prepare a protein. They take the amino acid. You remember the amino acid, they were used as raw material to prepare the protein. So those particular amino acids, they are taken according to the information which is carried by mRNA, messenger RNA, and then they are attached by a dehydration process. So there is a formation of amide bond, and then the whole chain of protein is actually synthesized by using mRNA. So at one end you have of mRNA, this ribosome machinery, the amino acid coming, and then at one side you will see there is a formation of chain of protein. You can try to look at, in if you are interested, how this protein synthesis happens, some animation in your YouTube or anywhere. Okay, nowadays a lot of animations are available, so this will help you to at least get the glimpse what is the significance of RNA, because it is not generally clear if you are not with the, if you have not taken the biology or something like that. But anyway, it doesn't matter, we will not have to explore this here. So now we are concerned with the chemical formulation of DNA and RNA. That's the whole highlight. So nucleic acid, basically we have to explore the chemical composition of nucleic acid, and from there on we will move further to look into the structure of DNA and RNA. very quickly. Actually, this is anything. So here what we will do is nucleic acid will be hydrolyzed. Okay, it will be hydrolyzed. If you hydrolyze, hydrolysis means reaction with water molecule. Okay, here also, because the DNA and RNA are also the bigger molecule which have their smallest unit. Okay, what are the big molecule? So these are also polymer molecule. Okay, and their smallest unit are referred to as nucleotides. You will see that. But how do we know that they contain nucleotides? So here is a simple reaction which says that if you hydrolyze nucleic acid, you get, there is something called as nucleotides. We will see what they are structurally. Okay, and these nucleotides, actually speaking, on further hydrolysis, if you continue hydrolysis, these are like monomers. Nucleic acid are like this big molecule, then they yield nucleotide. You actually you will have to do this controlled hydrolysis to not to destroy the nucleotide first. But if you do hydrolysis of nucleic acid in a vigorous manner, you can directly get even the parts of nucleotide. And the nucleotide is actually made up of, you will see there is a pentose sugar. You will see what that sugar is. Okay, hold on to that. This is one part of nucleotide. There is another part of nucleotide which is phosphoric acid, H3PO4, in the composition of one nucleotide molecule, which is a monomer. Okay, it is a monomer of nucleic acid, and that is made up of pentose sugar, one phosphoric acid, and there is something called as base. These are again organic molecule. We will see, because we can't you will see that what these are. Okay, base means, doesn't mean acid base. The base is just the name which is given. I should actually write here as BASE. Okay, these are bases. So base doesn't mean acid base, please don't get confused. Okay, just to tell you, there is a category of molecule which are referred to as these bases. These are base for the basis for nucleotide. Okay, so you will have in the composition one pentose sugar, phosphoric acid, and then something called as base. Three together, when they are connected, you get a nucleotide. Again, there is a hydrolysis process which will destroy. That means on the dehydration process, they may have come together to form nucleotide. Further on dehydration process, nucleic acid might have been formed. Very simple, right? Understandable. So here is also the hydrolysis process, the nucleic acid, and you get these components. These are basically the components of nucleotide, which is a monomer just like amino acid, but for this is the monomer for nucleic acid. Okay, so now let's go further. We will look into the bases later. Phosphoric acid is known to you, but let's explore this pentose sugar. A unique, it's the sugar which is, if you consider its open chain structure, directly it is given in this format in the book, but let me show you how this ribose, which is pentose sugar, name is ribose. Okay, the ribose sugar. So it is a 5 carbon aldehyde, basically aldopentose. So it is a CHO, and then carbon. Unit. Okay, so in this compound, which is a aldopentose, you have all the OH group only on the left hand side of the molecule. Okay, this is the structure. This is a Fischer projection of ribose. Just to add to name, it is a basically levo-rotatory, optically active. Naturally there are optically active carbon here, right? 1 2 3, at least in the open chain you can see. So it is optically active and it shows levo rotation. And again you can see this format of structure is D, like D configuration. So here is D. Okay, so D ribose is the name of this Fischer projection. Now, as I said, this can actually exist in a cyclic form by the reaction of this carbonyl carbon, first carbon, and the fourth carbon, this one. Okay, the fourth carbon here. So when you have this cyclic reaction again happening, this OH can transfer to the the carbonyls oxygen. Okay, so this oxygen will get this hydrogen and it will become OH, and this will form a cyclic structure here. So your cyclic compound will be something like this, and again the formation of OH, and it can lock in two different configuration. So only one configuration is used here, please see. So there is a possibility of formation of two kind of configuration, again CH2OH, and then one configuration will be like alpha configuration, where you have OH on the same side, let's say left hand side, OH H, and your this carbon, which is OH of this fourth carbon, will be used up to form the alkoxy linkage here. Okay, very simple, you see. So it's very similar to what you have studied in your exploration of carbohydrate sugars. And then the beta form, so this is your alpha form, and the beta form will be just the difference, OH should be here, this should be beta form, correct, and everything as it is, OH H C OH H C, and then oxygen H CH2OH. Now you don't have to really know this, but to understand this easily, now you pick up only the beta form, because that's what has been used by nature. You see, the optical activity and stereoisomerism, everything is so important that your nature picks up only few type of isomers. In amino acid also we looked at how only LIGO configuration was used heavily for all the amino acids. Okay, and now you see that you can very easily predict even this carbon becomes optically active. So 4 carbons are now optically active. This is just very similar to what you have studied, that's why you can connect it easily. Okay, so now you pick up only the beta form, and you try to represent its Haworth projection. This is your Haworth projection, this is the Haworth projection. So you start with this carbon, first carbon, and that is what is here. You can see beta form means OH is projected in this structure, it is projected on the right hand side. So right hand side is shown as above the ring. By the way, it is always good to present this ring, now 5 carbon ring, in such a way so that it seems to be as if it is placed horizontally. Okay, now it looks as if it is placed horizontally, right? You can make out, okay na, as if it is coming out of the piece of the paper, and this portion going behind the piece of paper, this carbon 4th and carbon 1 lying in the piece of the paper or in the plane of the paper. Okay, so this OH is above, then these two OH downwards, and the last carbon, you remember the same trick where its OH is involved in the formation of this alkoxy or O ether formation with the first carbon. So that reorients and the hydrogen is shown downward now with the CH2OH. Exactly same configuration as in glucose and fructose. No difference here. And so there is a formation of 5 membered ring system, and with the beta configuration here. Okay, makes sense? So basically out of 2 anomers, it is the beta anomer that is used here to form the ribose. To form the nucleic acid. So this is called beta D ribose. Now beta D ribose is used as a sugar in the formation of RNA. Okay, so let me just write it here. You can see one more similar structure to this, but in this structure what is missing is the oxygen from the second carbon. Can you localize that? And this molecule is referred to as deoxyribose. 2-deoxyribose. This portion means from the second carbon oxygen is removed, so deoxyribose. So second, तो ये जो है ये भी दूसरा तरह का सुगर हो गया है ना, but you will see that your DNA utilizes only this one. In DNA, you utilize only deoxyribose. That's why it's called deoxyribose. This is used in uh, in DNA. Okay, I'm directly writing as DNA. While this sugar is used as component in RNA. Ribose, R for ribose. You know the expanded form of RNA? Ribose nucleic acid. Deoxyribose nucleic acid. DNA is deoxyribose nucleic acid. So in DNA you have this form of this enomer of ribose sugar. And in RNA you have this form of which is beta again of this, basically in the same form here, and then of ribose sugar. Did you follow this one? So we have only talked about the ribose sugar as a part of nucleotide, which is a monomer of nucleic acid. Just to help you understand what I am talking as nucleotide, it is the structure is this one. Okay, it is not here. So that you can get the clear idea. When you break DNA and RNA, you get something like this. This molecule is referred to as nucleotide, and you can see that there is a pentose sugar. This part is pentose sugar. Okay, that's what we have been discussing right now. There is a base which I was talking about. It attaches on the first carbon, and on the fifth carbon here you have a phosphoric acid attached. So when you do the hydrolysis, what actually happens is, if I pick up this entire structure, hydrolysis basically breaks down your this portion. Okay, let me take this one to show you what I'm trying to say. Control C. What I was doing here, this is, anyway we are not talking about this hydrolysis. This hydrolysis will, let's say, creating smaller molecule, or let's say in general you destroy entire nucleic acid, which is DNA and RNA, any of the two, into their fundamental constituents, you get these things. So basic, but just consider this structure. This is what is referred to as nucleotide. This is the monomer of DNA and RNA. If it is deoxy, then it is the monomer of DNA, and if it is OH here, then this is the monomer of RNA. Okay, this portion I'm referring to. Just for time being, hold on to this, but I'm referring to this part. You can see that when hydrolysis happens at this part and at this portion. So this base gets detached and phosphoric acid get detached. Okay, hydrogen will add here, OH will add here. Okay, you understand? And you get the formation of OH here. Similarly, on this carbon, first carbon, if you detach the base, hydrogen is added to this, OH is added to this. So you get here OH. So this is like a pentose sugar. This is a nucleic acid, nucleotide. Okay, nucleotide is a monomer of DNA, RNA, and that on hydrolysis yields pentose sugar, which is this I'm telling, and phosphoric acid, which is this, and there is something called as base. Now this base, I will come back to this on a minute, but let me tell you that this is what is happening. Now you get the idea what is a nucleotide here. This is a monomer of your DNA or RNA. Let's say right now it is OH, so it is a monomer of RNA. But if you have this molecule here where you don't have oxygen, then it is the monomer of DNA. Okay, all right. Nucleic acid, either DNA or RNA, you get only one type of pentose sugar. Okay, only this one. In case of RNA, it will be this ribose sugar, and in case of DNA, it will be deoxyribose sugar. But when you get actually from either RNA or DNA, you get four different type of bases. So actually speaking, in the formation of either DNA or RNA, there are four different type of bases involved. How they organize, that's a matter of sequence of DNA. But only one type of sugar and combination with four different type of bases. Phosphoric acid is only one type, right? But bases are of four type. But then you have 5 here, and you can see why I said 4, because in DNA you have only adenine A, and these are the symbols they are used in DNA structure. You might have seen the symbols A, T, G, C, U, correct? So the DNA has either adenine, it can have adenine, it can have guanine, adenine, guanine, and then thymine, and A, T, and then cytosine, this one, and also thymine. So these four bases, they result from the hydrolysis of DNA. But if you hydrolyze RNA, then you will have adenine, guanine, cytosine, and not thymine but uracil. So the entire list is 5. Okay, either you consider RNA and DNA, total 5 of bases. These are bases. Okay, 5 bases from considering both DNA and RNA. But if you hydrolyze only DNA, you get only 4 type, and in RNA you get only 4 type. You have to know the difference. You see, only one base is different. Now but consider that these bases are like nitrogen containing, they all contain nitrogen. You can very easily see nitrogen containing heterocyclic compound. Hetero means you have other than carbon atom also as a part of cyclic structure. Heterocyclic compounds. Okay, there is a class of these compound. Okay, I'm not discussing the chemistry classification of that, but try to appreciate that they all have nitrogen, and you will see why nitrogen has been chosen by nature. You will see that. Okay, and they are heterocyclic simply because this nitrogen is a part of the ring structure. You also have oxygen sometime, carbonyl group also in some cases, but mainly you have this as a broad feature that is seen in all of them. Okay, so this is the basis. So please, now let's go back to this. So the base actually attaches on first carbon. From here, how do you sequentially prepare this one? And this is just in chemistry you can consider each step separated. So pentose sugar, when connected with the base only, not with the phosphoric acid first. So you see, suppose if you connect pentose sugar with the base, this is what is the structure formation. So this structure, which is formed due to first only the connection of base with the pentose sugar, is referred to as nucleoside. This is referred to as nucleoside. This is not the monomer. The monomer is this with further modification. In this, when you add phosphoric acid, H3PO4, further when it reacts with H3PO4, then you get nucleotide, which is a real monomer of, which is the monomer of DNA and RNA. Okay, so there is a name. This is something generally needed to be known. And nucleoside, so what is the difference between nucleoside and nucleotide? You should know. If you don't have phosphoric acid on monomer, then it is called nucleoside, but this is not a monomer actually. Okay, just something you can consider as an intermediate. So from here, if you consider, let's say if I just take pentose sugar and then let it react with base, what kind of reaction will this be? This will also be dehydration reaction, right? Minus H2O. How? Because hydrogen from the base, you know, the connection happens by the position differs in all of them. You don't have to know this, but hydrogen from the base and OH of the first carbon here, this one is gone. So there is a water removal and the base attaches to first carbon. Remember the position, it is beta configuration, where OH is above. So the base will always be shown above. Are you able to notice this? The beta anomer is used. So that means if the beta anomer is used, that means base will always be attached above the ring. So you have to show properly, not the downward. Okay, it replaces OH actually. All right, with its own hydrogen also removed. And then further reaction with phosphoric acid, where also actually when you react with phosphoric acid, you have dehydration, because now OH of this and hydrogen from phosphoric acid is gone, minus H2O. Okay, and you get here this one. You see that OH of this and hydrogen from phosphoric acid. Now you may ask the question, why hydrogen of other two oxygens are not shown? Phosphoric acid is this, you see, H plus oxygen, phosphorus. One oxygen is bonded double bond, so it is saturated. It is satisfied with the valency here with the oxygen, but other oxygens are actually negatively charged, okay, minus, and they carry counter ion H plus. This is not OH group, this is H plus and O minus, H plus. So in solution, when you put phosphoric acid, one phosphoric acid gives you 3 H plus, remember? But they are like counter ion because this is like an ionic compound. So you can say that phosphoric acid is made up of PO4 3 minus, PO4 3 minus, and 3H plus. This is phosphoric acid, right? So you can you may not show it, but it is understood that these are actually surrounded by H plus, or in water they are connected with the bond water. So basically it will release H plus in the solution. Okay, so please hold on to this. The charge is important, you should keep this in mind. Okay, I am showing everything sequentially so that you don't forget. Okay, this is minus sign here on oxygen, 3 minus charge. Okay, there is a dehydration even here, there is a dehydration here, so you get nucleotide formation from these components of nucleus. Okay, so this is what is referred to as the nucleotide base, the monomer of DNA and RNA, or in general nucleic acid. And again, the difference between the pentose sugar of DNA and RNA, must remember this. On the second carbon you don't have oxygen in the DNA monomer, but in RNA monomer you will have oxygen, so this is referred to as 2-deoxy. Okay, that's the name indicated even in the here abbreviation DNA, deoxyribose nucleic acid, a ribose nucleic acid. Okay, all right, you can actually say that nucleotide, 4 types of nucleotides, 4 types in DNA. Similarly, 4 types in RNA. Understand? Right? Because you change the base, you will get the new. So you don't worry what the base, but ATGC, if you want, if you need to emphasize, you can simply say ATGC. At least that much you can remember, right? This much you have to know which bases are there part of DNA. So important thing is that you should know the difference here as thymine versus uracil. Okay, so 4 type of nucleotides are possible in the construction of entire DNA, and 4 type of RNA. Now let me tell you, when I am saying 4 types, just like in your if you remember protein, there are 20 basic amino acid you have identified as monomers, right? And their combination yields different types of protein. Similarly, entire DNA is made up of 4 types of monomers. 4 types of monomers are there in the construction of entire DNA. Okay, and they will make up the DNA. Similarly, only 4 type of nucleotide, they are there in the composition of RNA. The various combination, okay, they will lead to the formation of RNA, and they polymerize in different combination. Okay, so now is it clear that this forms the monomer, but there are 4 types of monomer possible. Okay, all right, let's see how does this reaction happens. Here is a cartoon actually, and that shows the reaction here. Now the reaction between the base to base, basically now we are discussing the polymerization reaction for the formation of units of DNA. So a simple reaction right now is showing only the formation of a dinucleotide, but it will grow in the similar manner for further formation of polymer of DNA. अच्छा, एक चीज सॉरी मैं बताना भूल गया आपको. Let me say that the numbering, it is important because this is something which is very unique to DNA and RNA. You can see that the numbering of carbon is exactly in the same sequence here in this pentose sugar ring, but they have put here dash. Do you see that, all of you? The dash is only to discriminate the numbering 1 prime, 2 prime, 3 prime, 4 prime and 5 prime. This numbering for ribose sugar, for ribose sugar. In order to differentiate the numbering of the carbons, or let's say the members in the base, because bases are also, they also carry certain numbers, and there is a method to number them, but that's not important for us. But in order to, because they are going to form only one molecule together, so ये साइकिल, ये बेस के अंदर जो नंबरिंग सिस्टम है उसको उससे अलग करने के लिए यहाँ पे इनके अंदर 1 2 3 फॉलो होगा, एंड देन this numbering system has been discriminated by putting the dash. Okay, so this dash is important to be considered to differentiate from numbering system in base molecule. This base is not acid base, okay, remember this base molecule. So I hope you understand. So we will follow this 1 prime 2 prime kind of thing. So this is a 5 prime carbon, remember this is a 5 prime carbon, and this is a 1 prime carbon, and here highlighted is a 3rd prime carbon hydroxyl group, 3 prime hydroxyl group. So why is this here highlighted? Because when the two nucleotide attach, there is again a dehydration reaction. So what happens is, let's say you consider this as one molecule and this as another molecule. Phosphate of this molecule actually attaches to the OH of 3 prime of one sugar. So there is a certain kind of arrangement, structural arrangement in sequence. Please follow this one. If you remove OH here and hydrogen of this one, let's say there are hydrogen here, right? You know that there are hydrogen here, there is a hydrogen here, but they are not shown. You can dehydrate this. If you remove this one and this one, this will link here. So there is a dehydration process which causes the phosphodiester linkage. This linkage is referred to as phosphodiester linkage. You have to know this because there is a kind of ester formation, kind of carbonyl, but this is phosphorus, double bond O on oxygen, right? So ester kind of thing, but phosphodiester link, and that is what is leading to the connection of monomer to monomer. So you can see that this is just the formation of dinucleotide, but you can further go on to attach another sugar and its phosphate here, and you can continue attaching to form a sequence which will be something like this. So you have sugar which is carrying its base, phosphate diester linkage, and another sugar. So there is like a polymer chain, and then it goes on. So the way in which sequence is written, it starts from 5 prime. Generally the 5 prime end at 5 prime, it should begin with the 5 prime and then end with the 3 prime. So why 5 prime पे? Because 5 prime का phosphate group फिर भी unreacted रह जाता है, और लास्ट वाला जो न्यूक्लियोटाइड होगा उसका 3 प्राइम का OH ग्रुप अनरिएक्टेड रह जाएगा. तो इस तरह से आप इसकी एक डायरेक्शन भी फिक्स है, ठीक है. जैसे प्रोटीन के अंदर N टर्मिनल से शुरू होकर के C टर्मिनल तक एंड होता था, बिकॉज जो पहला अमाइनो एसिड है उसका अमाइनो ग्रुप अनरिएक्टेड रह जाएगा, और जो लास्ट अमाइनो एसिड होगा उसका कार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड ग्रुप जो है प्रोटीन के अंदर वो अनरिएक्टेड रह जाएगा, है ना. याद है आपको, ये प्रोटीन का अगर कोई बहुत बड़ा चेन आपने बनाया है तो पहले अमाइनो एसिड का NH2 ग्रुप रह जाएगा अनरिएक्टेड, लास्ट अमाइनो एसिड का COOH ग्रुप. सो प्रोटीन को जनरली जब रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं तो N टर्मिनल से शुरू करके C टर्मिनल ऐसा बोला जाता है, और उसमें बीच में अमाइनो एसिड होते हैं. उसी तरह से यहाँ पर भी जो न्यूक्लियोटाइड है वो 5 प्राइम से शुरू करते हैं जनरली लिखना, और उसको 3 प्राइम पे एंड करते हैं. अच्छा, इसको लिखना हो तो जो भी सीक्वेंस होता है तो इस तरह से लिखा जाता है, 5 प्राइम A G C U whatever the sequence, and then whatever is the be, let's say G, and it is ended with 3 prime, okay, because this is the 3 prime end. So ये लिखने का तरीका है ना. तो ये इस तरह से पॉलीमर सीक्वेंस बन गया आपका, ठीक है. इस स्ट्रक्चर को जो पॉलीमर बना है, जस्ट लाइक इन प्रोटीन यू यूज्ड टू कॉल द लीनियर पॉलीमर चेन एज प्राइमरी स्ट्रक्चर, दिस इज रेफर्ड टू एज प्राइमरी स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ DNA और प्राइमरी सीक्वेंस. बेसिकली प्राइमरी स्ट्रक्चर वाइज सिंपल लीनियर चेन इज रेफर्ड टू एज प्राइमरी स्ट्रक्चर. बट हमें पता है कि DNA कॉम्प्लिकेटेड स्ट्रक्चर बनाता है. तो DNA के जो स्ट्रक्चर फॉर्मेशन में होता क्या है, जैसे ये DNA है आपका, ये DNA मॉलिक्यूल है, और DNA एक डबल हेलिकल स्ट्रक्चर होता है जिसमें ये एक चेन है जो यहाँ पे बताई हुई है, ये वाली प्राइमरी स्ट्रक्चर की. तो DNA के फॉर्मेशन में होता क्या है कि उसी की एक कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री चेन होती है, जो कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री का मतलब ये है कि जहाँ पे बेसिस A है वो A के साथ में 2 हाइड्रोजन बॉन्डिंग से थाइमीन एक दूसरे कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री चेन का जुड़ा रहता है। मतलब अगर मैं ये एक सीक्वेंस ये 5 प्राइम से 3 प्राइम बना रहा हूँ और यहाँ पे ये दूसरा सीक्वेंस है मौजूद, एक्चुअली में ये भी बनता है, ठीक है ना। तो ये जो है उल्टा सीक्वेंस होता है इसका, 3 प्राइम टू 5 प्राइम। तो यहाँ पे ए के साथ में टी और जहाँ पे जी होता है जहाँ जहाँ पर भी, वहाँ पे 3 हाइड्रोजन बॉन्डिंग से ग्वानिन एंड देन साइटोसिन। इस तरह से ये जो है कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री स्ट्रैंड, 2 कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री स्ट्रैंड कहे जाते हैं। सपोज ये एक मेन स्ट्रैंड है, ठीक है, देन उसी तरह का एक स्ट्रैंड होगा जो बिल्कुल उसकी अपोजिट इंफॉर्मेशन रखता है। अच्छा, डीएनए में इसकी क्यों जरूरत पड़ती है ये सब हम डिटेल में नहीं ले सकते अभी, क्योंकि वो बायोलॉजी का स्टडीज है, आपको अगर इंटरेस्ट हो तो एक्सप्लोर करिएगा, बट हम यहाँ पे केवल स्ट्रक्चर को एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हैं। तो ये अगर आपने प्राइमरी चेन की तरह से माना है तो ये कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री चेन होता है जो बिल्कुल उसके कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री ए के साथ में टी और जी के साथ में सी, ये देख सकते हैं आप, है ना। और ये जो डबल बॉन्ड और ट्रिपल बॉन्ड है वो डबल बॉन्ड ट्रिपल बॉन्ड कोवेलेंट बॉन्ड नहीं है, वो एक्चुअली हाइड्रोजन बॉन्ड है। आपकी किताब में ये नहीं दिया लेकिन आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं। देखो मैं यहाँ पे दिखा रहा हूँ, ये सपोज थाइमीन वाला एक शुगर न्यूक्लियोटाइड है और इसके साथ में सपोज ग्वानिन वाला कनेक्टेड है और ये आगे बढ़ता जाएगा। सपोज ये चेन जो है इस तरह से बढ़ रही है यहाँ पे और यहाँ पे, तो इसके साथ में सामने एडेनिन का जो बेस है, इसका बेस एक्चुअली में हाइड्रोजन बॉन्डिंग किसके बीच में होता है, शुगर के बीच में नहीं होता, बेसिस के बीच में होता है। तो थाइमीन वाला जो बेस है वो एडेनिन के साथ में 2 हाइड्रोजन बॉन्ड बना रहा है ना। इसके स्ट्रक्चर को आप देख सकते हो, ये खाली आपकी समझ के लिए हाइड्रोजन बॉन्डिंग बनता है। ये हाइड्रोजन बॉन्डिंग ही रिस्पॉन्सिबल है इस कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री स्ट्रैंड को आपस में इस तरह के स्ट्रक्चर फॉर्मेशन में होल्ड करने के लिए। उसी तरह से जहाँ पे ग्वानिन होगा तो वहाँ पे साइटोसिन होगा और जहाँ पे 3 हाइड्रोजन बॉन्डिंग बनते हैं। आपको पता होना चाहिए हाइड्रोजन बॉन्डिंग इज लाइक something which is like fundamental to biology. Everywhere you have hydrogen bonding, and because it forms a reasonably weak bonding for it to modify wherever necessary. Because जब आपका डीएनए का सीक्वेंस जो है कोडिंग के लिए यूज होता है, एमआरएनए बनाने के लिए, तो यहाँ पे ये अनवाइंड होता है, ये हाइड्रोजन बॉन्डिंग हैज टू ब्रेक एंड देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ मशीनरी दैट इज इन्वॉल्व, सो दे अनवाइंड एंड देन दे कोड एमआरएनए गोज फर्दर एज आई डिस्कस एंड देन द होल ऑफ प्रोटीन फॉर्मेशन हैपेंस. बट एनीवे, कमिंग बैक टू दिस, so this when it is connected with the complementary, any primary structure is connected with the complementary sequence, this is called as secondary structure. And then this secondary structure actually doesn't stay in this format, but secondary structure acquires a more of very patternized helical structure. This is a helical structure, okay. The two are like, they are forming like a ladder, okay, and this is what is referred to as tertiary structure. आपकी किताब में इसी को सेकेंडरी बोल दिया गया है, बट कोई बात नहीं, ज़्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं है, बट एक्चुअली में ये टर्शरी स्ट्रक्चर कहलाता है, टर्शरी स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ डीएनए, ओके. सेकेंडरी स्ट्रक्चर, प्राइमरी टू सेकेंडरी स्ट्रक्चर विद द कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री, दिस इज अ विद कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री strand, okay. Each one is called as strand, one strand and second strand. So this is a complementary strand, tertiary structure formation. And then अब ज़्यादा हम डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे, बट आपको पता है even DNA can form very complex folding which is generally referred to as, what is that called, chromosomes, right, है ना. आपको पता है क्रोमोसोम होते हैं सेल के अंदर, तो वो इसका भी कॉम्प्लेक्स फोल्डिंग होता है, ये डीएनए का है, तो इसके बारे में हम नहीं जा रहे हैं, ये बहुत ही हायर कॉम्प्लेक्स असेंबली है और इसको बोलते हैं क्वाटरनरी स्ट्रक्चर, क्वाटरनरी स्ट्रक्चर. बट ये क्वाटरनरी स्ट्रक्चर प्रोटीन के क्वाटरनरी स्ट्रक्चर से अलग है, बिकॉज यहाँ पे सेम मॉलिक्यूल है. वो प्रोटीन का क्वाटरनरी स्ट्रक्चर जब बन रहा था तो वहाँ पे अलग अलग मोनोमर का टर्शरी स्ट्रक्चर आकर के एक दूसरे के साथ में सिर्फ बाइंड होता है, तो वो थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है. बट डोंट वरी टू मच अबाउट दिस स्ट्रक्चर हियर क्वाटरनरी, बिकॉज what is more important is for us to appreciate that there is ultimately the hydrogen bonding again involved in the formation of DNA. But in RNA there is no DNA double strand. RNA is just one sequence, and in between you may have some fold and all those things that will lead to some local structure formation. But don't worry too much about RNA. So if you have at least understood the chemistry part of this and what are the monomers of nucleic acid, that is what is expected from you for your this class's syllabus. But you can always explore it further, okay.